Hi boys and girls, welcome to Social Studies. Now this week in Social Studies we're talking about American folk heroes, famous people in history that usually were real people and sometimes part of their lives were kind of embellished or details were given that maybe weren't true to make it more exciting, and they're really interesting characters in our history. And today we're going to read about somebody called Paul Bunyan. We're actually going to read about him in two parts, today and tomorrow. And this is a really cool character, a really big guy. Let's read about Paul Bunyan. Way back in the olden days, when the big woods stretched clear across America from coast to coast, a bouncing baby boy was born in Maine. The baby was called Paul Bunyan, and he was a mighty big boy. Baby Paul was so big, it took 5 storks to bring him when he was born. By the time he was a week old, he was wearing his father's clothes. When he was hungry, he drank all the milk out of 12 cows. When he got the hiccups, everyone ran out of their houses thinking it was an earthquake. When he sneezed, folks had to open their umbrellas all the way to California. All the way across the country. Now, do you see some parts of this story already that probably weren't true, but are fun parts just to illustrate how big Paul Bunyan was? When Paul Bunyan grew up, he knew there was only one job for him. Folks were a-moving west in those days, and they all needed houses. They needed firewood and furniture and all kinds of things made of wood. And Paul Bunyan knew he would be the biggest and best logger in the country. Look how big he is. He's huge. Paul Bunyan set up his logging camp on the Onion River. He had so many men in his camp, they worked in 3 groups. One group was always going to work, one was working, and one was a-coming back. Paul's voice was so loud, all the men had to wear earmuffs so they wouldn't go deaf. It took a lot of food to feed all those men. The cook set up a pancake griddle bigger than a skating rink. And that's how his assistants greased it up, skating round the griddle with bacon strapped to their feet. The cook was nearsighted, though. One day, he put blasting powder in the batter instead of baking powder. Those pancakes blew the roof clear off the cookhouse. Paul Bunyan had a mighty big axe. It was so big he could chop down 40 acres of trees in one swing. One day he got tired while he was heading back to camp, so he let his axe drag behind him. That axe opened up a big old crack folks now call the Grand Canyon. Now, the winter of 47 was colder than the coldest winter the old graybeards could remember. It was so cold, the words froze in the air as you said them. Then there was a huge chatter in the spring when they all thought at the same time. It was so cold, even the snow turned blue. Now, boys and girls, we're going to stop right there. Tomorrow we're going to finish our story of Paul Bunyan, the biggest guy in America. See you tomorrow.